All right. Hello, Scorpio. How's everybody doing today? For the first time in a while, I'm absolutely ready early, and I thought we've got a lot to talk about today. So I wanted to begin a couple of minutes early. Today's reading is actually really special and auspicious. We're going to be looking not just at what's coming through for you, but also the energy that I know I felt, and I'm sure many of you have felt here with the full moon, with the lunar eclipse, and all that entails. So I'm going to break that down. And actually, anybody can listen to this first portion, but it is definitely tuned in for your sign as well. So there'll be a little bit of specific stuff. Let me put my little assistant here down so that we can get started. Again, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This is for the sign of Scorpio. You can always use my readings for sun, rising, moon, Venus, really any aspect of your chart. And everybody's welcome at the beginning. What I do at the very beginning is basically all of the channeled messages here in front of me come through dreams, meditation, and also research. Today I did a lot of research to kind of tune into the moon. And the moon actually gave me our totem today. We're going to be looking at a few different things here. Of course, the full moon, the eclipse that's associated with it. The fact that it's a beaver moon, we're going to look a little bit at the beavers and their ability to build dams, and also Artemis because she's part of this. Everything that I'm doing today is going to be sort of moon focused, including even the deck that I'm using, which will be sun and moon. So it should be fun. And I really feel kind of like a positive shift coming through for all of you. If you're like me, though, probably last night was a bit intense through dreams and maybe even your sort of mental state this morning. You could feel like you're coming out of a fog a little bit for those of you that are watching live. And even for a few days afterwards, there'll be some shifting coming into your life. So we're going to talk about that and how to navigate it and actually the positive aspects of a lunar eclipse. Okay. So thank you so much. I'm glad you like this. A family member got it for me and I love it too. We actually sort of, it's cool. There's a little bit of the cosmos on it too. So it was a great gift. All right, let's talk about a couple of things here, like the organization, and then we'll get straight into the reading. As I said, the very beginning portion is channeled messages. That's really what I have a great time conveying to you because it's me working with my guides. After that, we're going to take a look at the Celtic Cross, which gives us all a chance to drill in a little bit more detail and see really what's available to you, all the twists and turns. I like to cast a wide net and not focus solely on relationships or work because we're so much more than that. So the beginning portion is going to be all of that. Hey, Apollo. And after we look at the Celtic Cross, then I'll expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny so that we can focus in on those particular aspects of your life. Then I like to do a big idea pull, which will kind of help you focus on the one thing that's most available to you energetically. And then we'll look at blessings and blocks. And usually then we'll kind of go back and forth. I'll look at a viewer's choice question and I'll do a reader's choice question. And at the very end today, we'll of course be working with the moon as we do a meditation and do a final card pull based on a question that you're meditating on. So that's the overarching way that this is organized. In case you have any questions about upcoming schedule, all of that fun stuff, let me just put a link to my website. This also has the official handles for social media. And that's important because there are a bunch of people out there that sometimes like to pretend that they're me. So just so that you know, it's always my first and last name together, no spaces, no underscores. And that's what I use on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Goodreads, Patreon, and a bunch of others. So click on that pinned link if you want more. The only one that really deviates of note is Twitter. Okay. If you'd like to show a little bit of support and it's free, you can just hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. Share it with someone if you enjoy what we're talking about today. You can become a member here. You can also send a super sticker or super chat, and I'll say thanks at the end. All right. So that's it. Let's get into your messages for today. And again, this is for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So even though I'm reading for the month of December, a lot of what we're talking about, particularly the lunar eclipse, is going to be affecting us here in November. So no matter when you watch it, it's going to be good for you. Okay. So let me open up my iPad here. We'll talk about a few of the symbols here. In Los Angeles, I didn't have a chance to look at the moon because we had overcast skies. So I felt the energy of it, but I couldn't see it so much last night because of the fog. But if you are able to see a full lunar eclipse, it kind of looks like this, like a blood moon, right? And that's why it gets its name. It's not because the moon turns red. It's just because of an optical illusion, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But wow, that's pretty dramatic, isn't it? We'll also be talking about Artemis a bit today, like I said, lunar deity, the twin of Apollo. So if I had a female dog, probably Artemis would be the name. And then we'll be talking a little bit about the importance of dams or blocks in your life, sometimes that we build ourselves, because that's what a beaver would do. So we're going to be looking at that too. All right. So let's take a look now at what I've written down for you. Like I said, there's a lot that we'll be going through, but let's talk about the moon first. So it just finished. I think it was like here in the Pacific time zone anyway. It was like 2 hours ago that it all finished up. But a 6-hour partial lunar eclipse just took place. 99.1% of the face of the moon was covered up. And it's pretty impressive. So it wasn't like a full, it was a partial eclipse, but it was near full. 99.1 is pretty full. Sorry, my neighbor's dog always likes to join in. Apollo, meanwhile, is sort of sleeping here in the background. All right, so the last time that this happened was the 1440s. Almost, what is that, like 580 years ago? Not quite 600 years. That's a long time. So what we're going through right now is unique. And you probably are going to feel the effects, if not today, then maybe in the week ahead after you've looked at this reading. It's called a blood moon because of the coloring. It's also known as a beaver or a frost moon because of the hunting season. And it basically beckons in the winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Let's talk a little bit about the moon just as a symbol. As we know in tarot, it's part of the divine feminine. It's something we can all harness, men and women, and non-binary, it doesn't matter. Everybody can connect to that ability to create, to nurture, to really sort of bring forth something. So some of you right now are really feeling that sense to maybe take care of you. This is full moons and eclipses both together. I would say they're a perfect time for you to get some hot chocolate or some tea or some coffee or something and just chill under a blanket and watch TV or read a book or relax. So tonight, Saturday or Sunday, take some time and just take care of you, okay? It's a really good thing for reflection and for nurturing yourself. So use some of that divine feminine energy to be your own mother, basically. We don't need to kind of lean on other people. Just as a full moon pulls at the ocean tides, it also pulls at our heartstrings and our emotions. So part of the reason I want you to do reflection and maybe sort of take it easy is because I even noticed that this morning someone was asking me a question and I got emotional for no reason. So sometimes we can jump into a weird sort of emotional state that we wouldn't normally have. So a good thing to do on the full moon is meditation, relaxation, a nice bubble bath, light some candles, listen to some music, have a date night with yourself, right? And just chill out and celebrate that you have a little bit of peace and quiet time, if you can do it. I know some of you that are moms or working a couple jobs, this may sound like a luxury, but try to take some time to just take care of you and meditate for sure this weekend. All right. Like Artemis, however, you're very strong and capable of change. In fact, she has the power to shapeshift, which is something I really like. A couple of the characters in my book have that capacity as well. She can turn into animals. She also is the goddess of hunting. It kind of seems like an oxymoron to me, but she's the goddess of hunting and then also animals. You would think if she was a patron goddess of hunters or of animals, she wouldn't want them hunted, but I'm not writing the myths. But anyway, what I like about this is your capacity to go after what you want. If we look at that sort of idea of hunting, and also the ability to mold into something new or to kind of be flexible and allow for change to kind of flow into your life. All right. Her appearance in the totems also signals a more hermit-like energy, particularly with respect to romantic relationships. She's one of the chaste goddesses. And so some of you may have a hard time connecting on an emotional level, physical level, or even like sort of putting yourself out there to date or to socialize a little bit. So you might need some personal space. And some of this is just to sort out like where you begin and the other person ends or whatever, like you're trying to figure out what's what. And I think that's actually something that's really important because sometimes we're just in the thicket of things and we feel things pretty intensely. So if you need some time and space, Artemis is a bit of a hermit. But what's kind of cool with her is she's also a combination of like 3 different cards if I were to pull them in tarot. The hermit, because she doesn't need other people unless she wants to kind of befriend them. She is the chariot, just like Apollo, the sun card would be, because basically that's how they imagined the sun and the moon going across the sky, was in a chariot. And then also she's the moon. So when we kind of put those together, the moon is giving you a chance to really see things for what they are, to go through the illusion of it. It's basically the most instinctual form of intuition. So you just feel it in the gut. So I want you to listen to that. The chariot is about taking control and taking action over those things that you're being led to sort of do because of what we just talked about, because of tuning in. And all of these are coming together in a nice way for you to really kind of create a change in your life, right? So interestingly enough, even though there's sort of that chaste energy, I do get Six of Cups as well because she's a twin with Apollo. And the Six of Cups for me is one of the cards that I'll look at, and I can see twin energy, which can be very different. It can be sort of like sibling energy, of course, like literal twins. It could be a best friend. It could also be a soul relationship where you have karmic baggage. We call it soulmates. I don't really use the idea of twin flames so much, but like I kind of think of it as divine partnership. But whatever it is, these might be sort of taking a center stage because she has that sort of chaste energy. I think the important thing here is to focus on friendship, camaraderie, really connecting on a heart and a soul level. All right, let's look at the next piece here. Lunar eclipses are big shifts in our life. They signal big shifts. So you could think of this not as sort of like a scary thing, but it could be the Six of Swords. It could be the World card. Sometimes it's the Tower reversed. No matter what, it's a revelation. It's showing you things that you had a feeling were happening, and then it really gives you, like, in a black and white way, I need to move forward. And big changes are on the horizon. I was talking to Libra yesterday about choices, and I think because you guys are very close, right next to each other on the chart, you're going to have a little bit of overflow with this, which is there's a couple of portals. We were talking about the reindeer or caribou. Artemis also has stag in her totem, so there's a little bit of that here, so I want to talk about it. So when antlers are shed, there's a period of time where you kind of feel like this nakedness. Am I okay? And I think this eclipse for you, especially Scorpio, could be that feeling of vulnerability. Like I had that protection, because it's the divine masculine that's going to lose the horns first. We discovered that yesterday as I was doing research. So typically in November, the male caribou lose their antlers, and then the female lose it in May. And one of my channel members actually said that's also so that they can protect the food source. The females can protect the food source a little bit, which makes sense. Make sure that the guys aren't eating it. So that was cool. Thank you, whoever said that. But anyway, what we're looking at is 2 periods of time, because both the male and female are going to shed their not horns, but antlers. And so November is one, May is another. You've got 2 windows where big shifts can happen. Are you ready right now to surrender to that and to embrace the change that wants to come through? Or are you kind of riding through the winter and spring months and waiting for May to come around? It's up to you, but right now is powerful if you're ready, but it does require a little bit of release, okay? There is illusion that is a part of this. So obviously the moon is not turning red. When I was doing the research, and I didn't have enough time in an hour and a half to learn everything about lights and light physics, basically. But there's a phenomenon known as Rayleigh scattering, which is basically the particles of light bouncing around. And what happens like at sunrise and sunset, or with this lunar eclipse, is some of the particles have to go through a lot of atmosphere and kind of get filtered out. But the ones that travel the longest and kind of can get through that are the redder or more yellow colored things. So that's basically what we're seeing as an illusion. Back in prehistoric times, people would see the blood moon and you would think, oh my God, the world is ending. So one thing that I would say right now is to try not to be overly dramatic or fatalistic. Things may seem like they're a lot more important, or may be triggering your anger or your intrigue more than maybe they need to. So I would say, give yourself a day or two to just figure out, is it the sort of rush of something new? Is it the frustration or the energy of being in the moment? Or is this something I need to kind of really focus on? So because of that illusion, we're being asked to go deeper. Just like the moon card, you got to go into the water a little bit and see what's beneath, what lies beneath. I think the important thing here to also think about is that you're not in the shadow of anyone else. You're the source of light. So sometimes when we're in the dark, we worry. We're like, what's going on? What are we going to do? This is the time where you shine a little bit more. And you also take a look at what's going on. It's time for shadow work and integration. So if you're afraid of something, if you're triggered by something, that's okay. We all are. So figure out why you reacted the way you did. Figure out how you can maybe do better in the future, and shine your light. Try to lead the path, lead the way. And then you're going to be able to see things clearer. So don't rely on someone else's light, insight, or energy. Cultivate that within you. That's the best way to be the best you, quite honestly. Okay, good. Use this moment, like I said earlier, to rest, decide. I actually looked at this and almost saw the word decode, and I think some of you might be decoding things right now as well. And then take action before the end of the year, because I am reading for December. So after we get through this month here in November, December is the main reading here. I think this is the point where you act on a plan, with a vision. But it's important before then to reflect. And ultimately, that's the number one thing that the moon allows us to do. And that's why that pool of water is in there. It's all about reflections, okay? And reflecting. Let's talk a little bit about the namesake of this moon. It feels like this moon is called everything from a blood moon to a frost moon to a beaver moon. But the beaver portion of it, I really wanted to focus on the building of the dams rather than geeking out on the energy or the sort of like facts about a beaver. When I was tuning in intuitively, I'm like, all that matters is the dam. So we're going to talk about that. So they build up dams to slow the flow of water. And ultimately that creates a safe habitat for them. It gives them a chance to build their home, allows them to kind of bring their food in that and stay clear of predators. Their dams actually can last for centuries. I was surprised, several hundred years. Some, I was looking at an article here in California, have even lived or survived up to like 1,000 years, which is amazing. And when I thought about this, I'm like, wow, okay, construction, architecture, tarot would be the Three of Pentacles. Because if you ever look at that card, there is someone that is building something amazing, right? And there are people that are paying attention to the fine work, the really great manufacturing that they're doing there. So I think for you, you have a moment to step into the Three of Pentacles, the capacity to create, and this is important, a legacy or an impact that would far surpass the earthly life that you have. Too often, and this happened to me too, we just sort of see our job, our life, the events that are happening around us as stuff to fill up the time, right? What am I going to do today? Okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? Okay. What I'm asking you is, what are you doing in the big picture? Work and money, they're not the end all or be all. Your impact on your life and others and overall satisfaction with what you've learned, your fulfillment, basically, that's the important thing. Doesn't matter how many letters you have after your name for some sort of a degree. Doesn't matter what title you have before. Doesn't matter how many zeros are in your bank account. These things are nice. They're interesting. They're trappings. But it's not truly, you're just dressing up something. What are you? What are you doing? So what's your big picture? What's your goal? What's your life purpose? What's your legacy? And if you're puzzled or uncertain, good. This will give you a chance to grow. You don't have to have all the answers, but you should be asking the questions. And so I'm asking you these questions today. And I feel like I've talked about this recently. I think I spoke a little bit on last weekend's Sunday Collective. By the way, I'll be doing another one this Sunday. Everyone's welcome. But for the Sunday Collective, I think we were talking about changes and trying to figure out what you want. And the most important thing that you can do is to think to yourself, like, what brings me joy? When was the last time I had fun? When was the last time I was truly feeling, kind of inspired to do something? And why haven't I done more of that? What's holding me back from going further down that route? And is there a way that you can kind of overlap work, social, and then this passion in your life? If you can work your passion or live your passion or embody it, then you become the Three of Pentacles. You are the mastercraft person up there, basically doing whatever you need to. So that's my sort of hope for you and my push for you. We'll look in the cards today and see if there's any hints, but you're going to have to do some work on yourself over the next month to ask yourself these questions. Okay. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you feel lost. It's just, are you learning from this situation and how are you finding yourself? I don't think anybody's truly lost. We're just sort of in a moment where you think, I don't know. And I don't know can be scary. And the eclipse is the absence of light for a while. So sometimes we feel like we're in the dark, but you're not. We're all here together. You have a source of light. You're going to do some inner work. And without all of the confusion and the energy of all these other things, you're going to be able to focus on what matters to you. All right. Dams are great. I'm glad that the beavers have this way of creating a sort of like, habitat for themselves. But they do block the flow of energy. And because this totem is a part of the moon, actually, I would say it might be time to let the dam break. Sometimes we build something up, and by the time it's all constructed, whatever. It can be like a metaphoric sort of thing. Like, let's say you've created your own business, or you've gone down some path in life. Could even be a friendship or a relationship, and you just have this feeling of, all right, I did that, but I'm now ready for something else. It's okay. It's okay to release what you created and then start the act of creation again. Some of you are also damming or building up the emotions, the energy, and there's something that you need to say. And you don't need to be the one that's the glue for everyone or everything. Kind of like there's that story of that kid that's trying to plug up the dam. Eventually, there has to be a breakthrough moment where the energy just goes where it needs to. There's examples also like the dam that's in the Nile River. It did some damage to some of the areas where it would normally flood and create sort of like a nice rich bank. Is it the Aswan Dam? So it's good in some levels, but it also hurt the environment. And when we try to control things like the Mississippi, it has a life of its own, and it's going to twist and turn. So there are forces of change, forces of nature that we think we can control, but at a certain point, if you don't release, the tower comes through. So the tower didn't show up in the cards, but there's that in the distance. That's why the beaver came through to show us with the dam that there's something to let go of before the tower comes through. So let go sooner than later and focus on something else. And you don't have to do it all. You don't have to do everything for everyone. You don't have to cover for everyone. You don't have to hold up something that feels like it's not there anymore. You can also just let go. If you worked really hard and you feel happy, be in that moment too. But there's some sort of a release, emotional release for you. And Scorpio, with your sort of water energy, this is important because of the moon and association with your sign as well. Like, I feel like this is going to be a powerful month for you. Changes, understanding and revelation, and then a decision to kind of like walk down a new path. So I definitely felt that today. I'm trying to kind of keep myself focused and together, but there's a lot coming through. So let's move along to the cards now, and we'll get a little bit of a deeper understanding of what's available. By the way, thank you to everybody that is giving super stickers or joining and becoming a channel member. I'll say thank you at the end and welcome new channel members. I just want to stay in the sort of intuitive flow while I'm doing this, but I do see you and I do appreciate you. And it allows me to do more stuff like this. So thank you. We'll be using a special deck today with the sun and moon. I don't use it all the time, but I really do like it. So that'll be the deck. I'm going to turn the camera down and focus on what's coming through. All right, everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time today to join this special reading. Again, if you did join late, you can use this for sun, rising, and moon. I say that a lot, but I know my moderators get that question all the time. I don't take questions. You can save that for the end when I do a silent meditation and a silent question, and I'll pull a card. All right, let's focus on you, Scorpio, and see what's coming through. All right. I like that we got this star crossing the center. That's a pretty good sign. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're having a great Friday, ready for the weekend. Great card as well for today. Okay, some really interesting totems that came through, some really interesting cards. Let's demystify all of this and see how it all adds up. All right, we'll begin with your catalyst card, which is so apropos here. We have the mask. And it almost feels like the eclipse energy is kind of as a part of this one here. So for many of you, you are being able to take off the mask or see beyond someone else's mask. That's part of the revelation. So this could be a really good revelation. For some of you, might see something that you didn't expect or maybe didn't want to see. No matter what type of revelation happened, it's still a blessing. Knowledge is always good, even if we didn't want to know. Sometimes we have to see it. And so your catalyst this month is to really look beneath the mask and to not be afraid of what it's revealing. The catalyst card represents a way that we can create change. So it's by also removing your own mask and becoming the star. We have this lovely mermaid sort of star energy here, which I like. And the star is really embracing you, right? And typically, you know, the card, it's interesting, the star sometimes is sideways or reverse, it's crossing here, so it's a little bit off. So for some of you, you are still worrying about the projection and the acceptance of you. And I would say just be authentically yourself and don't worry so much about how people are going to accept this new you, okay? Let's go to the center card and then we'll talk about the star. So we have the Seven of Swords. I like the way that this particular deck handles swords because it's all up in the sky, it's all up in the clouds. The Seven of Swords is a chance to hold yourself accountable, hold others in your life accountable, and also to not sort of allow something to push you down. In other decks, what I like about the Seven of Swords, you can always posit the question or ask the question, are they moving on? Have they learned their lesson? Because sometimes you can look at that person stealing away in the night and it's like, enough is enough. I'm moving on to greener pastures, and you don't blame them. Sometimes they're getting away with something. In this one, we see someone who feels bad because of maybe the way someone treated them or what someone else got away with. And as you can see with the title of that, that's a futile kind of sort of thing. So it's more important for you to decide, what did I learn? Why did it happen? And how can I avoid this? And if there is someone in your life that is no longer really being accountable or trustworthy, then you need to deal with that sooner than later. So accountability is your central theme here. Hold yourself accountable, hold others accountable, and don't feel beaten down. Just be glad that you saw what you saw, because there is a revelation with something that didn't seem it wasn't what you thought it would be, but now you know. Kind of like that old PSA thing, the more you know. The more you know, the stronger you are, the better you are. So it's okay, because it's letting you step into the star. And again, this is probably one of my favorite illustrations for that. We've got the mermaid here. And what I like about the mermaid too is, again, that transformational energy. She's someone who can kind of live in the water and live on the land here. So that's cool. But for you, this is also saying you're not predictable. You're not going to fit the expected. It's not one size fits all. If you tried to put on a shirt or a glove or a hat, you're unique. You've got your own size. You're singular. So I really want you to lean into that specialness. I'm making up a word here, but it's fine. Whatever it is that really makes you your special sauce, that's you. With this being on the side of this card, some of you were worried about, will people say something about me behind my back? Will people understand what I'm trying to do? It didn't work before, or I had friends and family that didn't support me. Doesn't matter. You're this now. So really step into you. The star energy is about putting the focus on you. And I talked a little bit about Artemis earlier, where she's not so much focused on love relationships. She is more about platonic friendships and her own path. She's strong, divine feminine. So this month, even though we've got the Ace of Cups here, you want to make sure that you're not missing. You're not missing in the equation. So be strong, focus on building up your life first, and then you can kind of focus on worrying about other people. We have the Six of Swords in the past, which is one of the things that I associated with the sort of full eclipse, not the full eclipse, the full moon and the partial eclipse. So Six of Swords, this is a very unusual card, but normally we would see someone in a boat, moving on, looking at a greener pasture in the future. On this one, we see someone that is, let me put on my glasses here, but it's almost like they're creating something. It looks to me like it could be a book or a laptop, but it's sort of like, what are you doing to make this happen? If it is sort of like a laptop or an iPad, to me, this is someone who's doing the research, sending out the application, sending out the inquiry. So you are the agent of your own change. They could also be creating a new resume, a new website. So rebuilding, reimagining what's possible. There is movement, but it is involving shedding a layer, shedding a skin, shedding a mask, okay? Shedding the antlers, like we talked about in Libra yesterday. So Overdue. I feel like the Six of Swords is overdue. It's been a while that you've been thinking, I need to change direction, I need to change focus, I need to move more towards this or more towards that. So this card is basically coming to you today as an affirmative sign that indeed this is the right time and you're ready for everything that's coming through. Let's move on to the next card here. We have the Two of Wands, and I like that we have an archer on this one. It makes a lot of sense. The card is reversed, but this is the first step to manifestation. It's so important to have this paired with either the Magician or the High Priestess, because without a clear vision, you're less effective at doing what you want to do. So typically we would see the Two of Wands holding a crystal or the globe. And in this, they're gazing and they're deciding, I want to go here, I want to do that, or I'm seeing this. So you can use something like this. This is selenite, by the way. And you could decide to meditate on what it is you want to do. So take some time to figure out, who am I? What do I want? Because this is reversed. So I feel like for some of you, you've been avoiding that. You're afraid of what you might see. You're afraid of leaving the comfort of the current situation. But once you allow the dream to sort of like be out there in the universe, you might be surprised at how attainable it is or what doors start to open for you. Don't limit your view, because the Two of Wands reverse can be limited or looking in the wrong direction. So, some of you that might be more looking at traditional ways to contact people, this is definitely more digital, the Six of Swords. You don't always have to physically travel. So telepresence could be a big part of how you make this happen, or like, FaceTime or Skyping or WhatsApp and all that jazz. So don't limit yourself. You don't always have to travel, but you do have to make the connection. Good. Let's look at your crowning card. We have the Ace of Cups. Very happy that this came through for you. It's a really good, I would expect to see water for you in the headspace. So this is prioritizing yourself and saying, I'm ready to be happy. I'm ready to receive. The cup is upright. We have the reflective energy here, so you know how long and how far you've come to get to this point. And we have a rainbow here. Anything that you've been through, it's been worth it. So I've used a couple times, it came up in Leo readings, I believe, but rainbows are kind of cool because they also have this, it's an illusion. It's about the, scattering of light. So it seems like sometimes you have to, if you were to travel from like point A to point B, the end of the rainbow, that end of the rainbow, you wouldn't actually see it. Then you would see the rainbow had moved, because it's all about viewing angle. So what this card is saying here is that the rainbow is here, you're in it, but it's almost like there's an extra Four of Cups that's missing here, which did come through yesterday for Libra. So what that means is change your perspective, look around. You're looking perhaps in the wrong direction or in the wrong medium. I'm seeing a chance to find what you're looking for. It's really close, okay? This is a good card for love. It's a good card for creativity. It's a great card for just being happy. So if you've been through a period where there's been a lot and you've just felt like, when is it going to get better? This card is saying, the universe is ready. Are you ready? You have to accept it, right? Releasing is part of this today. As we look at the near future for you, this is the Making and Breaking of Cycles card. It's Second Chances too. It's one of my favorite cards in tarot. We have the Eight of Cups. Let's look at it in its upright position. So for some of you, you are, and this is also Artemis needing a break, like we talked about in the channeled messages. So some of you just need some space and some time. So before you decide to quit, before you decide to break up, before you decide whatever to sort of like cut the ties, give yourself some time to figure out, why am I doing this? How am I going to do this? And what am I going to do afterwards? Get the plan ready, because then when you decide, if you decide to say, okay, you come back from a sabbatical, from a leave of absence, from being estranged, whatever it is, from your sort of journey. And then you say, I've given this a great deal of thought, and this is my decision because of this, this, and this. And then you have to really feel it, mind, heart, soul, so that that person believes you. Because if there's doubt in whatever you're trying to recreate, and that was the big word yesterday for Libra, I mentioned that recreation and recreation, they're very close. It's just where you stress it. One is to start something or to create something again. The other thing is to have fun. So you should be able to kind of like have fun with this next phase of your life and really embrace it with joy. If the joy is missing from this sort of piece of the puzzle, then that's actually what you need. That's the clarity to think, I'm not happy. I need to leave because I want to feel more fulfillment and happiness in my life. Just get your ducks in a row so that if you're leaving, if you're quitting, if you're walking away from someone or something, that you can articulate it in like an elevator pitch without a long-winded sort of like conversation. For the rest of you, it's a good time, maybe not on today, but like next week or Sunday, to start to take steps towards something new and something better. So this can be letting go of something and moving forward, okay? Breaking or making a cycle. Now, if you were rejected, if you separated from someone and you wish that there was a second chance, this card says you get a second chance. Just because you can come back doesn't mean that you should come back, though, especially with the reversal. So second chances also give us a clean perspective. Think about when you go back and look at like where you grew up, or if you ever go back to your high school or something like that. Have you noticed that, you know, the classroom seems smaller, or if it's your hometown, maybe the streets don't seem as wide or as busy as they used to be if you lived in a bigger city. Or sometimes the opposite is true. Maybe you've been out in, like country for a while and then you go back to the city and it just seems much bigger than you remember. Perspective changes over time, and we can see something from a completely different perspective at a different point in our life. So when you come back to something now, your second chance, whatever that might be, does it still fit? Is it still the right match for you? Or has there been some internal retuning and movement that's happened where you're kind of feeling like, I don't know, I think I'm ready for something else. The only thing that I don't like with the Eight of Cups is it's not a clean and tidy ending. It is saying, we'll see. Sometimes you could be leaving someone waiting. They could be leaving you waiting. If you're dating someone, this shows me that there's a capacity for something to go for a while, but maybe there's not clarity of like, are we moving to the next level? Is this just casual? Why haven't I heard from you in a while? It's kind of non-committal, but like ongoing. So you can be like, sometimes just feel like you're being strung along or you're stringing someone else along. So let's not do that. That's the one warning I would say. Okay, let's move on to how you're showing up, looking at your soul, looking at your ego this month. We have the Seven of Cups, which I love. The actual word at the top is debauch, like debauchery. There's a warning with that to not go overboard. But what I do like about this, and the past couple of decks that I've used have had a sort of like water Seven of Cups, which makes more sense. A lot of times we see them in the air, but this one makes a lot of sense. But sometimes we can get mired down in the emotions. If you're too personally connected to something, you may need a third party or an objective third party opinion on something to help you figure it out. Because like the beaver in its dam, you've built this all up and you're not looking at the impact, not looking at the opportunities, not understanding sort of like the larger potential. So make sure that you get that different point of view. Don't get weighed down in all of the questions, all of the opportunities. Seven of Cups is a good starting point, but it's not a place that you want to sit at for too long, because if you stay there, then what happens is you just kind of like, it's like cooking with 6 pots at once. Something's going to burn. You're going to forget something. You're going to miss an ingredient. You got to focus. So I think that this is a good time for brainstorming, ideation, exploration, research. But like even when I'm researching, like I did with the beaver when I was looking at this morning, I'm like, I don't need to learn all about the beaver. I want to focus on the dam. So you have to be discerning and decide what's the focal point. What's going to mean the most to me or the most to others. That's going to be the important piece with this, okay? People see you though as a good source of feedback, of information, like you're worthy of time and energy. That's why we have the Ace of Cups up here too. They want to be around you. Let's look at the environment. I often talk about the 7 and the 5 of Swords being siblings because they always show up together. They have similar messages. The 5 of Swords is someone who you just can't win with, right? I was talking to Libra the other day about a conversation I had with a manager who just wouldn't pick up the phone, wouldn't talk, wouldn't listen, ultimately said, I don't have to do anything. Sometimes that's like the 5 of Swords. It can also be a family member that has really strong beliefs that are counter to yours. And if you have a conversation with them, it's just going to lead to this, which is you trying to pin them down, them trying to pin you down. And ultimately, you're just doing a lot of fighting. It's not getting anywhere. So avoid this. Sometimes this happens because of sheer frustration over this. Like you said you were going to do this. Why weren't you going to do this? But the person doesn't want to hear it and they're going to fight. So what you have to rise above. That's why the star came through. You have to be the bigger person. You have to lead with light. You have to lead with love. Maybe you just have to move on. So whenever I've had experiences in my life where someone acts in the energy of the 5 and the 7 of Swords, oftentimes that's the straw that breaks your back. It's sort of like, okay, or in this case, using today's metaphor, it's what breaks the dam. After that, it's done. You let go and you're ready to move on. So really pay attention to how invested someone is in what you're doing. That is so important. And if you're not getting the support that you need, the sort of like foundation that you not only need but deserve, then this is why it's time to move on. And you don't have to have another argument. You don't have to have another fight. Okay? You got it. We have the Four of Pentacles, which is a great building card. This deck is sort of inspired by a combination of the Thoth deck and the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. For those of you that don't know, Thoth is another sort of divination way of looking at things. Aleister Crowley did it. I'm not as connected to that imagery, but I do have the deck, and I do recognize that the way the Four of Pentacles is laid out is very close to the way he imagines it in the pips. So it's sort of like you can start again. These are the foundational elements. I still want to look at the traditional four as we would see it in Rider-Waite-Smith, which is sometimes holding on. So we're looking at these sand castles here. And again, with a foundation, I think for many of you, to me, a sandbox would be sort of like what we see with this. It's a chance to play around with things, but I want to see more commitment than I see in the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles is a nice beginning. We have the 9 at the end, so you're headed in the right direction. But it requires a little bit more commitment and faith. The Five of Pentacles would teach you the lesson of valuing yourself and valuing others and not feeling like you need validation. And the Six of Pentacles would be the discernment that would be necessary in the balance, like I'm going to do this and not this. And then the Seven of Pentacles would be you sort of overcoming any sort of lack in your life. Eight of Pentacles is you applying your knowledge. And then we get to the Nine of Pentacles here, which is, you know what, I can do this. I've always been able to do this. You already have what it takes. You don't have to go through all those lessons unless you want to. So what I see for you right now is a chance to skip over the Four of Pentacles, which is limiting yourself, and to get right to the idea that, yeah, I'm ready to do this. And I can do this on my own or with others. This is a fiercely independent card. Definitely a nice kind of connection to the energy of Artemis. And I love that we see the sunflowers on this one here. So take some time to also enjoy what you've built. Typically on this, you would see a woman that's sitting in or sort of standing in front of a bush or a tree, and there's all the sort of like money, all the pentacles on it. But what we see here is sort of like the garden of your work or your life or your desires, and it's starting to become fruitful. So I see a really good opportunity on the horizon, but it does take that feeling that I can do this. I can do this on my own if I need. I trust this. I'm not going to overextend myself. I know where to say yes and no. You have to kind of like go through those different pentacles that are missing and say, but I've got those lessons. I don't need to repeat them. That's what the universe is saying. Do we really need to go down this path again? You don't have to go down this path again, okay? So I do like that you end on a really high resource card. So Nine of Pentacles tells me that if you don't have it now, you're going to find it, or you're going to be able to attract it. So the Four is actually in hopes and fears, and that's more of a limitation or a limited thought. So we're not going to go there, all right? Let me just take a drink, and then we're going to look at the expanded forecast, looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny, getting some additional insights into what we're looking at. All right, we'll start with your health card. Basically, you can take it at face value. It says, do the work. The card is reversed. And so for some of you, there may be this sort of internal question of how committed am I? How committed are you? Are you inspired enough to do the work? If you're not feeling like doing it, then that in and of itself, that is what you need to sort of decide to stay or to go. When we look at our body, which is what this can also indicate, it's saying do the work to live a healthier life. For each of you, this is going to be different. I'm going to look at the cards here in a second to bring some health messages, but it requires a contract and a commitment with yourself. I love myself enough to do this. I have the capacity to follow through without someone kind of breathing down my neck. We don't have any leadership cards per se here. We don't have any kings. We don't have any queens. We don't have an emperor, an empress, or a hierophant. So one thing that's lacking here, except the star. So the star is good. But I want to see that you really lean into the star. So this is your chance. Maybe we all feel this at one point in our life, like especially if you're older and your parents have passed, or if you're at a point in your life where a lot of friends have moved on and everything. You don't have the same support network that you used to, and you have to realize that not only can I do this, but I need to do this on my own. All right, so you can and will do this on your own if you need to. Let's look at some health messages that came through here as I kind of gaze at the cards here. This is about getting real with yourself. Keep it real, keep it honest. So are you truly committed and ready to do the change or the shift that you need to? That's why the do the work card was reversed. Seven of Swords means that I think I want it, but I don't think I want to do the work, or I want to see if there's a shortcut. So understanding that there is no shortcut is going to be really important. Getting away from your current situation might be important to your sort of mental and physical health. Some of you may feel limited by the space that you're in, whether it's an office or a house. Maybe you've outgrown it. Some of you may need to get out of a relationship that you've outgrown, and the Six of Swords is saying it's time to move on. But there is a planning energy that we see here with whatever it is that they're working on, whether it's a book or a laptop or an iPad, I don't care. But it's sort of like, I'm going to create my plan so I know how I'm going to do this, right? Imagine that there is something that you can do. What you think is what you are. What you see here is what you create around you. So believing is seeing, the act of thinking creates, and doubting or refusing to see or limiting then also cuts off these things from our lives as well. So expand and open, that's really what you want to do. Let me see what else is coming through for you. If you've been trying to let go of a habit in your life, drinking, smoking, eating, whatever, there's something that you're doing in abundance of and you want to bring it under control or stop altogether, not in the case of eating, but overeating, I should say. With the Eight of Cups here, you would want to figure out, how am I going to ask for help? What am I going to do? And that's actually a great way to kind of work with the Seven of Swords energy. You could talk to someone about that and figure out what it is that you want. This could also be a mentor in your life, right? Maybe you're being tagged to be that mentor. Ultimately, the cards are pretty good, I have to say. And there's not a lot of bodily parts that are coming up that we need to focus on. It's more sort of like emotions and cognitive. I think that's always easier to deal with anyway. Okay, great. Let's move on to wealth. Wealth is not just money. I talked about sort of like the big picture questions earlier that it's going to be so important for. So what's your big purpose in life? I'm trying to find the card here, but I don't really need it. I would say, like, what's your legacy? What's the impact that you want to have on others? What are you trying to do? Because a lot of times, even when we're students or we're in a partnership or we're trying to go down some sort of a path, it's sort of like we're just showing up and hoping for the best. So I want you to put some plans down so that you can do more than that. All right, so here we go. Setting up parameters, which is what I was just talking about. Assess your relationships and determine how they are aligned with your goals. This is in business, so this could be business relationships. It could also be, is your friend or family member that's closest to you supporting you? Setting boundaries requires an honest evaluation of your present relationships. So relationships really are going to play an important part in work, finance, and business success. That's why the Ace of Cups came through. Lead with love, lead with this sort of higher energy. And then with this one, I want you to figure out, like, there's a flexible sort of, the beaver was all about creating a dam which stops the flow. So what you have to do is kind of move through that flow and decide, like, I can make this happen. Let's look at some specific messages here just in the cards. I really want you to get things in writing. If you are going to, and also make sure that a lawyer or a professional takes a look at what you're doing. So the Seven of Swords comes through, and just like with health, standard disclaimer applies here. If you have a problem with your health, go get help from a doctor or a professional. If you need help with your money, talk to a financial specialist. But when it comes to, or a lawyer, if you're going to sign a new job contract, if you've been cheated out of something or shorted out of something that you should receive resource-wise, it's time to bring that to light. And it actually feels like it will be beneficial for you. The star card on top of that tells me that you should come out of that looking okay. Get all your ducks in a row, get all your research together to make sure that you're ready for that fight if that's something that you want to do. But don't take someone's word for something. Get it in writing and make sure that you are not being held to a contract that is unreasonable or uncomfortable for you. Push back. And this could be an uncomfortable conversation here. If you can't get what you want, it's probably good to walk away or walk out on that. This is the only time that I would say that. Sometimes this works. Like if you're trying to buy a house, a car, or negotiate some sort of a contract for a salary, and negotiations break down because the other party is unreasonable, then you could just say, take some time and think about it. I'm pretty solid with where I'm at, and look at your other options too. This is a good bet. And sometimes that works. You don't want to do it all the time, and you want to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. But I remember one job that I had to do that for too. Like it had been a year and a half and they hadn't hired someone. I said, you lack decisiveness and I'm a good match for this team. And I even had to meet with the team and I said, you're either going to like me or you're not, but I'm the best that you've got and I'm a really good option and you should hire me. And I said, that's all I can say. We've been talking for like 2 hours. I'm tired. And I walked out and I got a call like on the way home. They said, you're hired. Because they were looking for somebody that was sort of just done with all of that. So don't be afraid to walk out sometimes, because I really didn't want it. This is also the weird thing. The detachment, I thought, this isn't worth it. Here's the thing. I should have listened to that because it wasn't worth it. There was a lot of struggle, but I negotiated it and got something that I wanted. And I realized the power of that. But take another lesson from me and don't go into something if it's that difficult. There's probably something that's better out there. The only time that this is worth it is if you're trying to get your rights back or trying to get your money back. Fight, keep pushing. And that's the time where you don't want to kind of like walk away. All right. Ultimately, I don't want you to sell yourself short. Some of you are stuck in the 4 of Pentacles and the opportunity is the 9 of Pentacles. So there's a big delta or gap between the two of those. So I think the important thing for you is, why would you accept something that wasn't all that you wanted? And how is this going to, again, factor into your bigger picture financially, career-wise, life-wise? And then we talked about earlier, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to educate yourself so you can do this? Are you trying to help the world? Are you trying to figure out your sort of like your pitch, your whoever you are, see how this lines up with that. And if it doesn't align with it, it's time to move on. Again, setting up your goals and your parameters, basically the 2 of Wands. It's going to be so important. Who am I? What do I want? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? Okay. Ultimately, though, if you're just looking like, will my finances be better? Yeah, got the 9 of Pentacles here, but you just have to take some ownership and fight like we talked about. Okay, let's look at love. Love, you actually got 2 cards. So I'm going to look at the overarching messages for love and relationships, and then we'll look at it from the perspective of those in love, looking for love, or single and happy. So the first of the 2 cards is the Antelope Spirit, and it says, life is speeding up. Yes, it is. So this is reminding you not to be, like we talked about with that dam, sort of just waiting for something to happen, stagnating, because that could almost be like death reversed with the beaver and the dam. So you have to continue to move. Movement equals growth. We have the 2 on this one. It reminds me of the 2 of Wands. Again, pick a plan, pick a direction, and start moving. Hope that others follow. Trust that things will start to kind of come into fruition in your life as well. Okay. So relationships are happening at a faster sort of pace too. So you might be kind of in between the zone of like work speeding up and you're trying to figure out like, how serious am I with this person? Because relationships are so important, as we looked at with work. So I don't feel like you can take them apart. You need someone that's going to support the growth that you are going through right now. Okay. You don't want to hold them back and you don't want them to hold you back. We have a peaceful spirit here, but it's not easy to get to because it was reversed. So we have the dove spirit, which is saying, I'm not going to fight. I don't want to fight anymore. It was a, what is it? Tina Turner song, something like that. Who cares who's wrong or right? I just don't want to fight anymore. So sometimes we reach that point, right, where it's just sort of not worth it. So try to be the voice of reason, and it's just exhausting, right? When you go through some of those arguments, if it's no win, which the 5 and 7 of Swords can be, choose the path of peace, spread your wings, move on. All right. So some of you are at that point, particularly if relationships and work are kind of intersecting and it's more about like a business partnership. Okay, let's turn the camera down and we're going to take a look at relationships from the different perspectives that you might be in, and then we'll move along to the next section here. All right, so let's not forget the mask, something that's going to touch everything. With health, it's a reveal. With wealth, it's a reveal. With relationships, this is the most important place to sort of like put this card. So for some of you, you thought you knew someone, you thought you understood something, you thought you knew yourself, but there's something coming through where you understand now, it's not what I thought. I need to look at this from a different perspective. So the mask is being taken off. We'll start off for those of you that are currently in a relationship. Then I'll move on to looking for love and single and happy. But for those of you in a relationship, it is all about communication, my friend. We've got 7 of Swords for you, 5 of Swords for them. Be honest with yourself. Make sure that they're being honest with you. And then also try not to fight for the sake of fighting. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to make you angry. Some of you are very, very invested. This is actually a heartening sort of combination of cards, because the Star, the Ace of Cups, and the Nine of Pentacles, even the Seven of Cups, you have some questions that you want answered. You are invested, and you really want to have independence, and you want them to be independent. It feels like some of you are just breaking through the walls of codependency. It requires work. It's something that takes a few goes to get it perfect. So if you really want to make it work, it might be couples therapy, but you can't just go for 1 session, 2 sessions, 3. This is something where you have to go for a few months to kind of sort through some things. Overall, be honest. Also, money is coming up as a major concern. Feels like you have very different views on money, the two of you. One is very limited. One is very sort of like, I can do this. I'm entrepreneurial. So figuring out how to deal with money and how to talk more clearly. I will say this. It doesn't feel like it's not a lost cause, but it does feel like one of you might storm out or need some time or space. Again, the Artemis energy that we talked about. Keep it in the love. Maybe, yeah, just walking away sometimes is good, or say like, let's talk later. This is escalating in a way it doesn't need to. Keep it in the heart space and come back and make up if you want to. Some of you, this is too far gone though. With the Six of Swords, Seven of Swords, and Five of Swords, you're just like, I'm good. Guess what? You are good. If you decide to go on your own path, the Nine of Pentacles tells me you'll be just fine. All right, for those of you that are looking for love this month, I do feel like there is this sort of question from the universe. What are you looking for? Is this really what you want? Why are you looking for love? It's asking you to focus on not looking for someone else to be the star, but to find the star within. And I know you probably get sick of hearing stuff like that, but it's really important, because if you are the star, then you pull in a twin star. If you're just looking for a star, then you become a satellite. So you don't want to be a satellite. You want to be a twin star system. So be the light, and then find someone that has that same light, but don't look for them as your plug, your outlet. And that's really kind of the get real message that the universe is giving you. You have what it takes. There's a lot of fiercely independent energy here. And as you sort of like lean into, I can do this no matter what, then the universe is like, okay, now you're ready. So I'll send you some love. But it feels like there is some working and some getting real on why you're looking for love, and making sure that it's not because of fear of loneliness or fear of being just sort of like, well, if you're not comfortable with your own company, how can someone else be comfortable with it, right? Set your intentions if you're trying to manifest a partnership, because that's important. Trust it and then release it, and know that it's going to come back. You might be pulling someone from the past. I'll take Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups can be an old friend, an old flame. Remember here that you just want to make sure that you're both in the right sort of frequency this time around. Again, most of the focus for all signs this month is going to be on independence, learning things, kind of really focusing on fixing your financial house. So I think doing that is key, and you can't kind of get away from that. If you meet someone, it's time to do 20 questions. The Seven of Cups is to make sure that you get to know who you're with. So I would say with both those who are in a partnership and looking for a partnership, do some asking, do some listening. If you're not looking for love this month, I actually think it's a good time to not be looking for love, and I'm not necessarily seeing someone come in. What I am seeing is some travel. Six of Swords and Eight of Cups can be traveling, reconnecting. You are sought after. Guess what? Many of you may not want to be connected with other people, but they're going to be knocking on your door or texting you or wanting some of your time and energy. So sort it out and figure out who's worth your time, who's really kind of worth connecting to. It feels like it's going to be a great month for financial gains, and it's going to be a good month for coming up with some new ideas. So I actually am happy for those of you that aren't looking for love, because it would be a distraction perhaps, and you've got a lot to do. Okay. So no matter what, get real and allow whatever came through to be informing you, and make sure that you're not making a mistake or something like that. Trust in what you see. All right. We have the Fire Ant here as your outcome. What an interesting final card here. So when I look at destiny is not something written in the stars, as I have on my shirt. It's something that you are constantly creating. Are you one of these little worker ants, or are you the queen? Kind of like the queen bee, the queen ant here. I feel like you have this opportunity to create order. The Fire Ant is also a very dangerous thing to upset. It can sting you, it can kill you. And what we're looking at here is the futility of the Seven of Swords, and someone who doesn't want to listen to any sort of, criticism here in the Five of Swords. If somebody is just closed off, it may not be worth the argument, right? Again, stepping away. You don't want to get the fire ants upset. Kind of like a hornet's nest or a wasp nest. You don't want to sit there and shake it. So walk away. Focus on something else. Be the sort of attractive force that you are and bring your own opportunities to you. You can create again. This isn't the only way is what I see with that. All right. Let's pull another card here and take a look at the big picture, the big idea for this month. What is it that we can really focus on collectively, particularly Scorpio? What can we focus on to make it a great month? All right. So the big idea is what we just talked about, walking away from limitations. The Devil and the Lovers card in tarot, they're so similar. If you were to look at a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you would see in the place of the Devil, you have an angel. And instead of being tied together, they're just freestanding in the Garden of Eden. But it's the same sort of setup. Maybe not so much on this card because it's reinterpreted, but usually you see like Gabriel or a large angel behind the lovers. It's all bright, looks great. The other one's all dark. You have the Devil, but it's still the two people. And so what I would say for you right now is to remember that there's still something that connected you to people in your life, even for those that are driving you crazy. So if you can take it back to the place of love where it started, you can release the chains. And it's going to be a lot easier to deal with that person. If we look real close, you can see the spider web that's kind of got them both trapped. We also see like the Eye of Horus on her dress, but we're not paying attention to the warning signs. So pay attention to the warning signs. Don't do something that either looks too good to be true or in fact, is not the right expenditure of your time and energy. Avoid contracts that are going to get you into trouble in the long run, okay? So when that happens and you know how to get out of that. Avoid those sort of restrictive thoughts, any sort of restrictions or codependencies. It's all about unshackling that this month. Let's move on to the next portion where we take a look at blessings and blocks. And then I'll throw out some questions for you to vote on, and then I'll do a reader's choice. So we'll start with the blessings for the month ahead, the next 6 to 8 weeks, taking us to the end of the year. Believe it or not, can you believe we're actually looking at the final month of the year? All right, so what's the blessing right now? The blessing is clarity. Two of Swords reverse is understanding. It's revelation. It's taking the mask off. So for once you realize that you know what you want, you know what needs to be done. It's also the understanding that you can't make everybody happy. The thing that gives power to the Two of Swords is fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Because with the fear, doubt, and uncertainty, you sit stagnant on that path. Normally on a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you would see a couple of paths behind her. She's blindfolded. She has the two swords and she's just sitting there. She doesn't take them off. She doesn't look here. She doesn't look there. She doesn't take a step in that direction that she needs to. And we looked at the antelope. You're losing time and energy by stagnating. So the blessing this month is knowing what you want or maybe what you don't want and allowing that to inform the next step of the journey. Some step is better than no step at all. You can always take a step to the side or back or whatever. You can always course correct, but standing still and doing nothing, the universe is saying here, you know that you can't do that anymore. So you've got clarity that you haven't had before. All that's missing now, or the next step to that, is action. All right. So the blessing, whether you like it or not, is the revelation or the understanding. Now let's look at what could block you from moving forth in that. Emotions. We have the King of Cups here in reverse. So for some of you, it's how do I get all of this under control? How can I take care of myself? How can I make sure that I'm all right here? The thing is, we can't be afraid of how we feel or what we feel or what other people feel about us. The King of Cups is secure, is strong, is sensitive, is willing to kind of put himself out there and put his heart on his sleeve. So for many of you, it's just sort of to trust yourself and to really allow for that happiness to set in. Yesterday for Libra, that was something that I talked about. Your happiness is a priority. The same is true for you. With this reversed, it could be depression. It could be stress. It could be emotional fatigue, which then leads to fatigue in your body. And so I would say really taking some time and energy to prioritize your emotional and mental health right now, so important. Also, you could just be lovesick. The King of Cups, because we got the Ace of Cups here, can show that you're in this moment in time where hey, new love is coming in. There's a lot going on in your life. And you think to yourself, how do I deal with this? I wasn't expecting this to happen. Even if you're in an existing relationship, the pressure may come from that, or familial pressure may step in. So I think that's going to be super important. All right, let's now throw it back to all of you. And we're going to take a look at some of the questions that I have that I think you might want to vote on. So we're going to do a viewer's choice. Let me get my keyboard out. We'll type it. If you're watching this live, you'll have a chance to vote, as long as you're looking at it on a computer or in a mobile device. All right, so we're going to go to a viewer's choice poll, viewer's choice. And as I'm looking at this, I feel like I can't avoid the energy of the devil. So I would say with this, how to release contracts / limits, because that's really what the devil kind of brings in. And then the other thing that we want to look at for you is getting a clear vision, the Two of Wands, getting a clear vision of what's, I'll just say getting a clear vision / being, let's see, manifesting. Here we go. All right. And then the third thing that I want to look at, or that I'll put out here for you guys to look at, is really dealing with some of the money issues, the Four of Pentacles versus Nine of Pentacles. So improving resources and wealth. Okay, so I've just pushed the question out to all of you. You'll have a chance to vote on this while I look at something else. One of the things that I want to look at is the mask card here. So what is it that you're being asked to see as we look at this? What's the important thing that's coming through? So let's see what the mask wants to show you, and then you'll vote on that. Wow, okay, it's new beginnings. So we have the Fool card in reverse, but the Fool is a pretty awesome card because it's telling you that this is a moment where if you go through, I talked about the two portals, one in November and one of them that would be coming through next year, then you have to kind of decide, is it now or is it later? It might be both based on this. What we want to look at with this card is all the things that are trying to bother the Fool, but she's unbothered. We see like the crocodile, we see, what is it, a tiger in the background, we see the butterfly, and all this stuff is buzzing around her, but she's just sort of like, I'm ready to move on. I've got this. So you have to sort of like tune out some of that nonsense. And if you've been shown a path, some of you, this is a realization. I am this. I want this. Or this person won't allow me to be this, so I need to do this. But moving on is clearly a key piece of this with the Six of Swords and the Fool card, okay? So I feel like it's time to move on, and it's also time to have fun and be yourself. It's a new beginning. And if the person that you're with won't let you do that, then it's time to do that on your own. Okay. Let's see how the poll is looking here. And we have a pretty good winner here for the clear vision and manifesting. So let's end it with that. And maybe I'll pull some of these into the weekend. I saw what you guys said. So I always kind of get inspired with the individual polls. So if something's popular, I'll give it a second chance sometimes on the weekend votes. All right, so looking at Two of Wands, again, by 41%, getting a clear vision on how to manifest, how to bring things in. All right, let's focus on Two of Wands clarity. Thank you to everyone who voted. I appreciate it. And I would love to look at all of them, but we would be here forever. So I'm just trying to go through the ones that get the most votes. When I get a tie, I will look at two. Okay, Two of Wands, manifesting, getting some clarity on this. What's going on? Six of Cups, which I talked about at the very beginning. I think that you're going to be able to. So for some of you, maybe it's been a while since you've talked to someone or hung out with someone. This is your chance to connect with that person that really gets you. I had a chance a month ago to hang out with someone that I was best friends with in high school, and we kind of lost touch and then we reconnected. The cool thing with people like that is, like, we were best friends and it was so easy to just pick up like it was yesterday. So it was fun, it was easy, and we want to do that again. So the Six of Cups can be that. So for some of you, what was nice about being around this person was they don't care what Like a lot of times, for those of you that are in intuitive or metaphysical work, I'm sure you get this. People have questions, they have preconceptions and doubts. He was basically saying, "Oh, I don't even think it's that fringe. It's very cool, actually. I'm glad you're doing it. You help a lot of people." And he was very supportive. There was no sort of like weirdness, and I wasn't feeling any weirdness either. But it was just nice to get someone who knew you and they knew if you worked really hard that it would be like good quality, like someone that has your back. You should connect with someone that can celebrate your visions, not someone, this is not always going to be your mom, dad, sister, brother. This may be just someone that you've met in your life, a chosen family member, a friend who really wants for you to be happy, unconditionally. And there's no sort of strings attached. It's not about romance when you have a best friend or like a brother type sister relationship out there. It's just sort of more like we've got each other. Even if you're not blood, you feel like blood. So I think I want you to connect with some people or a person that can celebrate that energy. Have fun. The Six of Cups doesn't have to be around other people. We have 2 baby cards here. The only thing that's missing is the sun. But the Fool is a babe. It's the beginning of it's the journey of the Fool. It starts with the number 0. So this is a reset. And the Six of Cups is a child card. You usually see 2 children, a boy and a girl on it. And then the Sun card is a baby. So there's a few that you can connect with children or childlike energy. Six of Cups reminds you of the important lessons of youth, which are, if I feel something, I feel it, but it's not going to stick with me. I'm not going to hold on to a grudge. If I need to cry, I'll cry. I'll have a tantrum. I'll let it out, but I'm not going to hold it in like a dam. I'm not afraid to show how I feel. I can say, I love you. Kids say that. We stop saying it when we're an adult because we worry about the ramifications, but I can be myself. I can express myself. I can feel things and go through things, and it's not a big deal. And I can imagine again, because children are in that sandbox, but they're building a lot more than 4 little castles. They're doing a bunch of stuff and they're playing in their head space. So I want you to really go out on a limb and imagine, what if I did this? What if this happened? What if this, like, what if ... rather than worrying about, put it as positive stuff too. Like, what if I do this and I succeed? What if people really like it? What if this is easier and faster than I thought? So take that exercise, and then you can even say, I'm doing this. This will be faster. You can start to kind of like create that. But I think that's what it is, to play in your sort of cosmic sandbox and make something amazing happen, to make a splash too, because we see the splashing on the Six of Cups, okay? People are ready and willing to sort of support that and be there for you. All right. I love that we have 411 here as the amount of people that are here, which is all about information. All right. So if we're just kind of quickly looking at this, and we'll go into the meditation portion in a second, and I'll look at your final card. You really want to be focusing on letting go of limitations or limiting thoughts. It looks like the blessing this month is about clarity. Sometimes we don't always want to see what we see, but it's been brought through for an important reason. Don't let your emotions get you down. Try to ride the wave with them. And try to get passionate. Put yourself, again, what we saw with the kids at the end is going to be important. Try to just let them flow, the energy flow. It's time to make a new break, a new beginning. Don't worry so much about how everything's going to work around you. People typically make peace with the change, and they'll get used to it and ultimately have some fun. Okay. So some really good messages here. Okay, we have one last part to this reading that's kind of split into 2. The first portion, and in just a moment, we're going to take a look at a meditation. We'll use the full moon for sure today. And that takes about 2 minutes. So I'd love for you to stick around. I know we usually lose a bunch, but just stick around. It'll be fast and it's good. It will help all of us kind of raise our frequency. While we're meditating, I want you to think about what your question is that you have for me. Don't type it, just think it. You can write it on a piece of paper if you want to remember it, so you can just relax in the meditation. And then we will, I'll pull a card for that. While I'm getting ready for the meditation, I'm going to allow you to choose which instrument I'm going to use. So which instrument? I have both a singing bowl and a pyramid, crystal pyramid. So you can choose either. It's up to you. So the crystal pyramid looks a lot like this. If I can put it out here. Sorry, Paula. This is what the crystal pyramid looks like. And the singing bowl is behind me, but I'm sure many of you have seen it before. It's just a nice purple crystal-based singing bowl. It's also quartz, and it's attuned to the pineal gland. So if you want me to play this, I'll play this. While we're doing that, just a couple of quick notes. As I'm sure my moderator Maria has reminded you, if you could just hit the like button. We have like almost half of the amount of people here that have done that. That'll help with discovering this channel. So just hit the thumbs up, the like button. And if you're brand new and you want to make sure that you don't miss me in the future, you can subscribe and get notifications. If you want to show some support, become a member, vote on the weekend polls. You could do that by clicking here and becoming a member. If anybody does any of the above, especially like sending a super sticker, I'll say thank you at the end. Okay, let's go ahead. By the way, if you happen to be watching it on replay, you can also show support by clicking super thanks, which is another way that I will see it when you do that. It's right there by share. Okay, let's focus now on the meditation. Looks like we have a really clear winner with the crystal pyramid. So thank you everyone that voted. Let's go ahead and set the meditation up, and then I'll play the crystal in just a moment. So close your eyes and let's imagine that we are not on Earth, but we're actually on the surface of the moon. And this is going to be cool because we're not going to be as affected by being in the shadow of the Earth. We're going to instead sort of be in this sort of, since we're using a crystal, this is cool. There's a triangulation that kind of occurs when you're at the moon. I want you to see the energy coursing from the moon to the sun, and the sun to the Earth, and the Earth to the moon. See this sort of triangle of energy. See yourself almost like a pyramid sitting at the apex, at the top of this. Almost imagining too that you have, back in the day, I think they had like diamonds or crystals at the top of the pyramids. So let's imagine that you are inside of that sort of crystalline energy. You can imagine that you're inside of a diamond sitting on the moon, and it's almost like this pyramid that's connecting you to the Earth and to the sun. Within this very powerful visual, you have the capacity to crystallize and to clear out your energy. If you have any sort of toxins or anything that you're sort of working through emotionally, you also have a chance to open your third eye and really see how to get something done. So close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. On the exhale, releasing anything that you might be holding on to, allowing yourself to be open to, protected by, contained within this crystal, and point the crystal perhaps toward the sun so that it can start to channel the energy, that solar energy, and now allow for this beautiful spectrum and prism of light to surround you. We talked earlier about the illusion that only some colors come through when we're looking at the red moon. Here you can see all the spectrum of light, all of the possibilities. I want you to follow some of those rays of light to their to the end point, to see where it's leading you. What does Spirit want you to see? What is it revealing? What is the revelation today? Know that despite the fact that we just came through an eclipse, you now have this beautiful energy and prism of light within you. Depending on where you want to see the most work, you could see the crystal being more focused on crown and third eye, or throat and heart, or maybe if you need to work on fear and anxiety, it could be around the solar plexus, or just sort of like standing your ground, it could be around the root. Put the crystal wherever you want it and see it connecting this ray of light, creating this perfect triangle between you, the sun, the Earth, and the moon. Okay? Focus on that. Allow for your guides to be present and to protect and guide you. While you're doing that, I'm going to play the crystal pyramid. So just relax, breathe, pay attention to what's coming through. Just like the star card that we saw earlier, I want you to imagine that you have that beautiful crystalline energy moving through your body, that no matter what comes through in your life, people are going to accept and support you. And even if they don't, you accept and support yourself to the point that you don't need the external validation. Knowing yourself, knowing your path, knowing your journey, which has been part of what we've been discussing today, will in fact call in people that celebrate, understand, and support that part of your life. When you're ready, I want you to take a final breath. Feel now that the light is coming into your body. Rub your hands together, put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. Imagine that that crystal is now prominently placed here in your energy so that it can imbue everything in your life with these sort of spectrum of colors that you're going to be able to shine brightly, that you are the star. Okay. Gently come back, welcome yourself back to the present, to the real world here. And I want you to get back to that question that you had for me, something that I haven't had a chance to look at. Think about it. You don't have to write it. Just say it in your head, say it out loud. And let me take a look at your question, what it is that's coming through. I always try to look at it from the perspective if it's an affirmative or a yes, no, or if it's sort of a deeper question and not all yes, nos. Hello, this is what I put in the main sort of channel messages today, the Three of Pentacles. So as a yes, no, this is a yes. It's a big yes with an exclamation point, particularly when you are asking, will I be successful in this venture? Can I do this? Are other people going to understand? Is this okay? Will I get a lot out of this experience, like going back to school or starting a business or writing a book or doing something like that? Yes, yes, and yes. I see really good work coming from what you are creating. I kind of like that we have a street artist in this one, not a traditional sculptor, because it does show the singular energy of the star, which is modernizing, taking a different sort of look at things. And then we have the works here saying like great works, great things that you're doing, to really trust in that, okay? So it's a yes. The only thing that I think you want to focus on is to take note of if you need external validation. One thing that's interesting with the Three of Pentacles, and I kind of like never really pay attention to this piece, but you know, people are validating and looking at this, but do you need it? Do you want it? Do you care about it? Are you also, could there be room for feedback in something too, and you're not listening? Because in most of the cards, we don't see the person talking to the people that are taking notes. So that could either be happy, like, I don't care, I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm glad you like it, wasn't asking for your feedback, or there could be a chance to get and solicit some constructive feedback. You're onto something good. I like where you're going. I really like the energy. This is about moving up, about integrating, and about really having a successful month and year ahead, because this is really kind of going to be one of the last cards we look at before the new year. So I like that you have the Three of Pentacles. You're on the right path, all right? Good. The only thing that you want to make sure is that your voice and vision are true to you, because like I said, this is a sort of unconventional Three of Pentacles. So you want to make sure that your unique approach is protected and is present in all that you do. That's it, everyone. All right, let me take a moment here just to wrap up. And a reminder, I'd love for you to join in on the weekend. I probably will touch a little bit on what we talked about today, but because the eclipse happened today, I really wanted to focus on it for your sign. Plus, with water and everything, I just thought this would be really good energy. So my upcoming schedule is there. Like I said, I'll be live on Sunday. Next week, let me just read off. There's a couple of schedule changes, so let me highlight these, and then we'll get into closing up everything here. So on Monday, I'm going to be reading Sagittarius. Capricorn, instead of being Thursday, since it's U.S. Thanksgiving, it will be on Wednesday. So I normally don't work on Wednesdays, but Cap, you're going to be Wednesday at 9 a.m. And then I'll be back after Thanksgiving on Friday at 9 a.m. Okay, so we have 3 signs next week and then another Sunday collective. So that's the upcoming schedule. I'll spend some time later today and before I put the polls up tomorrow to make sure that those 3 videos are up so you can set reminders. But right now, I just wanted to make sure that you could set a reminder for the weekend one. So that's up and that's live and you can do that now. Okay, one more time, just a reminder that if you would like to show support, a like goes a long way. And we've got to the halfway point, so I'm happy with that. But if you did enjoy this, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share it as well. You can actually hit the share button and share it to social media from here. You can show some support here if you'd like to by getting a super chat, super sticker, or joining as a member. We got a bunch of members today, so welcome to everybody that has green text. I don't care how long you've been or what you pay. I appreciate you. It really does help. And then again, on a replay, you can use the thanks button. Finally, I will always put the index cards that I write on social media. So there's a quick flash of all of my handles, and you can also click on the pinned message above. All right, let me take a moment now just to say thanks to everybody that was able to give back a little bit. I want to welcome and thank everybody, whether or not you did that. It's just nice to have you here. But special thanks to everybody who makes this possible by giving back a little bit more. So let me just welcome, first and foremost, some of our new members. So give me a second here, and let's take a look here. So let's welcome anyone that joined today. It looks like most people joined yesterday, so no new members today. So let's just move on to the everyone that gave a super today, and then we'll wrap up. And then you can all enjoy today and treat yourself, like I said, to some hot cocoa, to a nice quiet day. You've earned it tonight. All right. Thank you so much to Melissa Ann. I saw yours early, and happy birthday to you as well, because you put that in your notes. So happy birthday, and thank you for your contribution. Thank you, Daisy. Amitabha, thank you. Jocelyn Christine, Tiffany, let's see, Michelle Hardman, April Rain, Joanne Ridner, and Ria Coleman. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you again to Maria Margarita for her help in moderating today, and we'll see you on Sunday, okay? Have a great one, everyone. Much love and light. Take care of yourself today. It's okay if you feel a little woozy, a little off. Just rest up, drink a lot of water, and like I said, be kind to your body and to your spirit. All right, bye-bye, and thank you so much.